How's it going, everybody? Today I want to talk about the series of interesting events that leading up to this coronavirus outbreak that we're having right now in Wuhan, China. Right off the bat, I find it to be really interesting timing coming right on the heels of President Trump's huge deal with China, the phase one of his act, which really helps the farmers of this country. The president himself had tweeted that the farmers are really happy with the new China trade deal and soon to be signed deal with Mexico and Canada. But I hope that the thing they will remember is the fact that I was able to take massive incoming tariff money and use it to help them get through the tough times. Now, the article continues that as a part of the phase one deal signed by the president, China promised to buy billions of dollars more in agricultural products from the U.S. farmers, which is huge. And also devastating to the Democrats, who's one of their number one anti-Trump tropes that they push is that the Trump's hurting the farmers, always hurting the farmers. Even you look up here, Trump hurt, first thing that comes up is farmers. But stated right here by the U.S. Agricultural Secretary that there'll be no more need for farm aid after the China deal. That's how good it is. And according to the Secretary, Beijing is now poised to buy $40 billion worth of agricultural goods. He goes on to state, I don't think the farmers and ranchers have been in this position maybe ever. I don't think so, and I think it's going to work out good. So if this plan flourishes the way it's now set up to, that will be another one of their major attack narratives on the president that has failed. Much like how many of the slanderous attacks on our president have been failing of late. Like in Puerto Rico, for instance, where after a hurricane, going door to door, checking to see if buildings are all right, they found this warehouse full of supplies. The supplies that the MSM and Puerto Rico said were never sent by President Trump and was used to demonize him as a hateful person that wants to kill Puerto Ricans. Well, way to go. You just woke up an entire country. Good for you. But going back to the farmers, they've been working double time to hurt them as a way to weaponize it against Donald Trump. I mean, just look at the rainfall. Record rainfalls over the last 3 years. It has basically just been nonstop raining and flooding out the Midwest. With a 12-year span from June 2018 to June 2019, having an 8 inches above average. It's a very documented fact that they can control the weather. You say that to people. Not a lot of people actually know that. So they'll usually say, I think that's just a conspiracy theory, but it's actually on paper. If you could go, here's a famous case where it was really forced to be admitted after this, where in 2018, China spent millions on a shady, quote, shady project to control the weather ahead of the Beijing Olympics, and dozens of other countries are doing it too. The article reads, this is an article from 2016, but they're talking about the 2008 Olympics. It says, this summer, China set aside $30 million for a controversial project that involves shooting salt and mineral-filled bullets into the sky. Their mission? Make it rain. The project is part of a larger campaign of so-called weather modification techniques that the country has been using since at least 2008, when they claim to have cleared the skies for the Beijing Olympics by forcing the rain to come early. Then continues that China is far from the only nation trying to bring or stop the rain. At least 52 countries, including the United States, have current weather modification programs. So it's a matter of fact, and it goes far back. I'm actually kind of surprised that Business Insider would mention Operation Popeye. But Operation Popeye started in the 1940s when a pair of scientists from General Electric were experimenting using supercooled clouds to stimulate the growth of ice crystals while hiking Mount Washington. The mountain, located in New Hampshire, is often called the stormiest mountain in the world, and it's considered a prime spot for cold weather testing. After a series of experiments there and in New York, the two researchers managed to make it rain using silver iodine bullets. They got a patent for their technique referred to as cloud seeding in 1948. We'll take a look at the patent right here. So this has been in writing since long before we've even been born. And it goes on to state with that they famously used it in Vietnam and that they spent roughly $3 million a year on it on weather modification campaigns designated to draw out the monsoon season and create muddy, difficult conditions for enemy fighters. One campaign involved an attempt to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the main route that the enemy fighters were using to deliver their supplies. It even includes a snippet of a document from the Federation of the American Scientists, FAS, detailing the campaign. And then they give your cognitive dissonance an out at the end of the article, which they do this a lot whenever they'll disclose any real truth. Then they'll say, well, it's a matter of debate or whether or not it worked or not. Well, according to China, it freaking works and that they use it. And 52 countries currently have weather modification programs, including us. So I think it's safe to say it works. But now, knowing what we know about these programs, that they exist and that they use them and that they clearly work, to know that the Midwest, the farmers, that they're trying to clearly, it's the first thing that comes up when you say Trump hurt is farmers. That is the one thing that they're willing to go for above all else. To know that they've also have this technology to somewhat control the weather, and these places have been flooded out and getting hammered. This whole 3 years, ever since Trump made office, it's almost crazy not to get a little suspicious. So this is one of their main plays that they're going with. And just right as President Trump is about to expose it, signs this great deal that's going to help them so much. There's an outbreak of disease in China. Now they got to start quarantining places, and who knows how this is going to turn out. But this is obviously something. What's the main thing with an outbreak of disease? You don't want to have travel. You want to restrict travel between two places. You don't want to have containers going back and forth. And these are the sort of things that come from an outbreak. Now, this is still in its infant stages, so we'll see how it goes. But I just think that is some curious timing that right as Trump signs a deal with China and things like the farming industry are going to get a huge boost, an unknown disease breaks out in Wuhan, China. Well, not unknown to our U.S. Patent Office, who have known about it since July of 2015 when it was patented by the Pirbright Institute. The present invention provides a live attenuated coronavirus compromising a variant replicase gene encoding polyproteins compromising a mutation in one or more of a non-structural proteins. The coronavirus may be used as a vaccine. Well, I guess that's the only way you'd ever be able to patent a virus. You say it's for a vaccine. And here it is right here, patented in July 2015 by the Pirbright Institute and finally approved in late 2018. Well, where was the Pirbright Institute right before this patent was issued? In April of 2015, they were at a European H2020 research project involving the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Right here in the middle, the Pirbright Institute, just a couple months before they issued the patent for the coronavirus, which now just broke out in Wuhan, China. What a coincidence. Right on the heels of the phase 1 of the China deal that Trump just signed, smashing there, he's going to get us into a trade war and destroy the economy with China narrative, and also smashing there, he's hurting the farmers narrative. It sure is interesting. Where we go one, we go all.